Welcome to the channel. Today, we will follow an exciting and unexpected story about the battle for power within a company. Will John and Linda manage to overthrow James and seize the company? Or will James' resilience help him maintain his position? Let's find out now. This story is not just about the struggle between greed and power, but also a test of friendship, trust, and deep schemes. Will John and Linda deceive James and take over the company, or will James' determination win the day? Don't miss a single moment of this thrilling story. What do you think about the relationship between John and Linda? Can friendship be exploited for personal gain? How can James overcome such massive challenges when trust is wavering? Will Linda succeed in making James trust her completely and hand over the company to her, or will James' resilience save the day? And finally, does John have enough cunning to control everything without getting caught? If you want to know where this story is headed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting videos from our channel. Share this story with your friends and let's explore the upcoming twists together. Linda sat across from John, in the dimly lit space of the cafe, her eyes sharp and calculating, not a hint of hesitation in her gaze. She started the conversation directly. "This is the perfect opportunity, John. Diep is weak, and James won't be able to take care of both the company and his wife." She gently picked up her coffee cup, took a sip, and then set it back on the table, her eyes never leaving John's. John smirked, his eyes cold and devoid of emotion. "That's right, you've spotted the problem. James is distracted, and Diep is his weakness. We just need one final push to break everything apart." Linda continued, her voice soft but razor-sharp. "If we don't act now, everything will pass by in vain. Diep will recover, and when that happens, James will go back to taking care of her, leaving the company behind. We need to create chaos so the company falls into our hands." John looked at her, his eyes pausing for a moment as he thought about the plan. "So, how do we make him suspicious? James isn't someone who's easily deceived." He leaned forward, determination flashing in his eyes. Linda smiled slightly, a smile full of hidden meaning. "James has one major weakness. He's too in love with Diep and has never considered the possibility of losing her. He'll never suspect me. I'll get closer to him, help him through the tough times. Let him feel that he needs me more than he needs Diep. At that point, I'll take Diep's place in James's heart." John nodded in agreement, approving of Linda's plan. "And what about the company? What will we do to seize control?" Linda stared directly into John's eyes, her gaze full of resolve. "When James focuses all his energy on caring for Diep, the company will fall into chaos. He won't be able to manage both. At that point, we'll intervene and make decisions to change the situation. He'll have to rely on us to maintain power. John thought for a moment, then spoke decisively. We need to make things seem irreversible. We have to make James feel that only we can help him through this tough time. At that point, he won't even think about keeping the company for his wife anymore. Linda smiled faintly, confidence glowing in her expression. Exactly. And when everything collapses, the company will be ours. James won't be able to resist, and Diep will never be able to come back. John and Linda exchanged a look, their gazes carrying an unspoken understanding. They were preparing for a no-holds-barred battle. Every move was calculated, and they both knew that even the smallest mistake could ruin their plan. But the determination and coldness in their eyes made it clear that nothing could stop them now. Linda gently picked up her coffee cup again, locking eyes with John. We'll do everything right. Once James falls, the company will fall into our hands, and no one will be able to stop us. She emphasized each word, as if confirming her unwavering confidence. John didn't respond verbally, but the smile on his face said it all. Both of them understood that once they began, there would be no turning back. They were ready for this high-risk game, where the victor would own everything. After their conversation in the cafe, John and Linda quickly got to work on their plan. Linda knew that in order to fully gain James's trust, she needed to approach him subtly and gradually make him feel that she was the only one who could support him in this difficult time. The very next day, Linda started visiting the hospital more frequently where Diep was being treated. She always brought small gifts and comforting words, but behind it all was a deliberate and calculated scheme. James, you don't have to worry so much. Diep will recover, but I think you need someone by your side to help you right now, Linda said gently, her tone soft like a caring friend. She looked at James, noticing his constant struggle between work and caring for his wife. Every time she spoke to him, Linda would suddenly place herself in the role of helper, making James feel like she was the only one who truly understood him. James, tired and stressed, looked at her, his eyes unable to hide the strain. Thank you, Linda. But I really don't know what to do right now. Both the company and Diep, everything is on my shoulders, he sighed, his voice full of despair. Linda saw the opportunity and her eyes gleamed. You can't carry everything, James. You need to think about yourself too. The company won't go anywhere if you're not focused. And Diep, I believe she'll understand. You need someone strong by your side right now. Linda paused for a moment, locking eyes with him, making him feel like he was falling into a trap he couldn't escape. James seemed confused, but Linda's words planted a seed of doubt. She knew that just a few more conversations like this would make James start to question his priorities. Meanwhile, John was at the company, stirring up trouble behind the scenes. He proactively reached out to key partners to ensure control over the situation. Every decision he made was carefully calculated, from managing finances to reorganizing departments. He knew that James wouldn't be able to focus on these issues while he was distracted by his feelings for Diep and his wife's condition. One morning, Linda visited James at the hospital again. This time, she brought a special gift, a collection of books on leadership and business management. She placed the gift on the table and said softly, "I think you'll need some time to refocus, right? I found these books so you can regain your spirit and keep the company moving forward. You know, big decisions need someone who can step outside the situation and see things clearly." James looked at the books, his expression showing some gratitude, but a faint sense of doubt lingered in his heart. "Thank you, Linda. I really don't know what to do, but can I do all this while Diep still needs me?" Linda smiled gently, her eyes full of mystery. "You can't do it all on your own, James. And I think, only when you do this, you'll be able to truly help Diep. She will see that you are stronger than ever. And I'll always be here, supporting you." Her words were like a bullet to James's mind. She spoke with such confidence, making him feel that he truly couldn't do without her. The more he interacted with Linda, the more he started feeling conflicted, torn between his love for Diep and the support that Linda was offering. Meanwhile, Jonh sat in his office, staring at his computer screen with satisfaction. He had already connected with key partners and made adjustments to critical contracts. The signs of disorder were starting to appear. Just like this, James won't be able to manage everything. Linda will approach him and make him feel that he needs her. By the time Diep recovers, James won't have the mind to focus on the company, Jonh muttered to himself, a cold smile appearing on his face. Linda continued to act carefully, each step bringing James closer to a vulnerable state. She knew that just a few more meetings would be enough to plant enough doubt in James's mind to make him think that only Linda understood him and could help him through this difficult time. Everything was unfolding according to plan. Jonh and Linda had begun to create cracks in the relationship between James and Diep while gaining control of the company that James had built. Both of them knew that once James fell, the company would be theirs. Although Jonh and Linda had come close to their goal, the road they were traveling on was still filled with obstacles. Despite their efforts to distract James and plant doubts, the company had not yet fallen into their hands. Jonh could feel his patience being tested, while Linda began to realize that in order to complete their plan, they needed to completely break James, not just emotionally, but also in terms of power. They had tried everything to weaken James. Linda constantly appeared by his side, saying sweet words and offering encouragement, but deep down, she knew that only when James had no other choice would the company truly fall into their grasp. Linda had built a close relationship with James, but he still hadn't fully trusted her, keeping a certain distance. This made Linda uneasy. "We're doing the right thing, aren't we?" Linda asked John one evening when the two met to discuss the situation. I feel like I'm getting close, but James hasn't completely fallen yet. John, with a stern face, pondered for a moment before replying, "We're not strong enough yet." Even though James is torn between the company and Diep, he still has a certain resolve. We need to make him feel like he has no other option but to give in. Linda nodded, her worry showing in her eyes. She began to realize that their plan wasn't enough to break the system of defenses that James had built around himself and the company. No matter how persistent Linda was, the fact that James still didn't fully trust her meant that things weren't progressing as quickly as they hoped. A week went by, and Linda continued to be by James's side, playing the role of the indispensable companion. But her persistence couldn't completely erase the doubts in his mind. While James felt confused and exhausted, he still couldn't fully entrust everything to Linda. "Thank you for everything," James said during one conversation, "but I still have to keep the company. I can't just rely on someone else to manage everything." This made Linda feel disappointed. "You can't do it all alone, James. You need someone who truly understands you, someone who can help you through it all," she emphasized, trying to create a sense of urgency in him. However, no matter how hard Linda tried, James still didn't fall into her hands. He knew that Linda had her own motives, and while he felt she could help, he wasn't ready to let go of the company he had built. John watched from a distance, unable to hide his concern. "Things aren't going as I thought," he sighed, waving Linda over. "I calculated that James would soon be overwhelmed by his emotions, but no, he remains strong. It seems we need to change our strategy." Linda looked at John and lowered her voice. "If we don't make him completely collapse, everything will fall apart. I don't want all our efforts to go to waste just because of James's hesitation." John nodded, his expression cold as steel. "Then we need to make James feel like he has no other choice but to hand over the control of the company to us. We'll make him believe that if he doesn't give in, everything will fall apart." He paused for a moment, then continued, "At this point, only despair can break down the strong wall James has built around himself." Both of them knew that their plan hadn't reached its conclusion yet, and they had to keep pushing James's emotional limits. But John also knew that, even if they achieved their goal, they still faced a great challenge. James wasn't as easy to break as they had imagined. So, at this moment, they had no choice but to continue seizing every opportunity, every small step in this game. "We won't stop, will we?" Linda looked into John's eyes, her gaze full of determination, though tinged with fatigue. "Either way, there's no turning back." John smiled coldly. "No turning back, Linda. We've come too far, and there's only one road left, victory." Even though James still had his resilience, John and Linda wouldn't stop applying pressure, knowing that with just one final push, everything would fall apart. But for now, the battle had not yet been won. This story truly kept me on the edge of my seat, filled with tension and suspense. Every move John and Linda make is meticulously planned, and they continuously try to weaken James in order to take over the company he has worked so hard to build. However, I also admire James' resilience. Despite facing numerous schemes and doubts, he holds on to his beliefs and the values of his company. This makes me wonder whether John and Linda's greed will ultimately prevail, or if James will manage to keep everything just through his perseverance and determination. The story is captivating, with twists and turns that constantly make the reader reflect on truth, greed, and the power of determination. I'm really curious to see how this story will unfold and who will ultimately win in this brutal battle.